I am indeed here with my Raw review from last night's Raw, 24 hours after Bragging Rights, October 26 was this episode, and the special guest hosts for this night, Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, I believe their names were. And before we go into that, I wouldn't, just a small thing from Bragging Rights, that actually made WWE so much, proves why they are so smart, that were so good, why they make these small hints. Sometimes conscious to it, sometimes subconscious. But a lot of people have been talking, would John Cena retain the win the title, or would Randy Orton retain the title and therefore force Cena to go to SmackDown? No one was actually really 100% sure. Often in this case you can say, well, that's going to happen, this is not going to happen. But you really couldn't do that this time, because people weren't certain. Cena might go to SmackDown and we might see some new faces coming up on Raw. A lot of people didn't hope for it, and there were logical explanations and arguments for all the different alternatives here. But one thing that stuck out during the pay-per-view that made WWE so smart was during the fatal four-way match, Undertaker, Batista, Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, where Batista turned heel due to thinking that Rey Mysterio cost him the match. Batista turned heel, and that's actually, to our own logics, people have been debating over the internet since Jeff Hardy left. Well, who's going to take Jeff Hardy's spot as the top babyface on SmackDown, on the SmackDown roster now that he's gone? They need someone new. They're going to push Morrison and perhaps Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy really didn't get to carry the bargain, but John Morrison did. Rey Mysterio was suspended. Well, they need someone new. They need someone new. They are in a desperate state for a new babyface. They brought Batista over to SmackDown to help fill in for Jeff Hardy, along with John Morrison and also for Rey Mysterio. And with that logic, when Batista turned heel on Bragging Rights, which seems to be a legitimate heel turn, it made people think, well, they need someone new. They need someone to take Batista's place. Now, he was the replacement for another top face leaving or being suspended. Now they needed a replacement for him. John Cena. It could be John Cena going over to SmackDown because they need a new top face. I thought it, and I think to a lot of people, consciously, subconsciously, this thought struck them and made them believe that John Cena might lose. This is very smart by WWE and also very aware of how the talk is going on the IWC. Just a small note here. So this Raw opened with Chris Jericho getting into heat argument with the guest host, and with the Big Show, who said he did not screw Team Raw for Chris Jericho. He did not do it for the SmackDown roster. He did not do it for the team of Jericho, the tag team champions. He did it for himself because he had made a deal with Theodore Long since being on all shows. He could do that he will receive a title shot against The Undertaker. We will know the full story on that on this Friday's SmackDown. And I urge you people, please don't spoil this just by putting out as a comment right here, because not everyone wants to know what's going to happen. If people just put it out there as a comment, I think it's somewhat impolite. I don't mean to bark or anything like that, but instead say, well, I know something about this week's SmackDown and PM people or whatever. Please at least don't do it in my videos. I can't make you not to do it, but I can ask you to not do it and plead to not do it. Moving on with tonight's show, we also were going to do this, and that was a big story. A lot of people said we gotta tune in because there is going to be a new contender for Cena's title. And I was checking the names. Maybe Jack Swagger, because I know not The Miz, not Teddy DiBiase, because they had a promo during the show where John Cena even made fun of Legacy and the possibility of someone of them facing him for the title, because WWE has been aware since SummerSlam that they have been recurring the main events between Cena and a very few elite top contenders for the title. And Cena said that himself, well, once again it's gonna be like, man, come on, it's gonna be so recycled, it's gonna be so done before. So no, not Teddy DiBiase, not MVP. There were a lot of names. I was thinking not Kofi Kingston, but I thought Jack Swagger might be an alternative until he started to feud, apparently after the Fallout feud from the Kofi Swagger Miz feud, that he's going to feud with the Miz now over the United States Championship with the involvement of perhaps Eve. Very interesting match, and he caused the Miz to be counted out against Evan Bourne in a match tonight on Raw, last night on Raw. Furthermore, well, it took me quite a while till I realized, we have Triple H versus Big Show in the main event, which turned out to be a lumberjack match with the entire Raw roster as lumberjack, a revenge of sorts from the Raw roster because of what Big Show did last night. Chris Jericho just fled through the crowd with the trophy and the titles, and you also had John Cena as a special guest referee. But just before that, I realized, well, of course it's going to be Triple H because he's in the main event, and yeah, Triple H also defeated John Cena last week on Raw. And they had a score to settle because John Cena won at WrestleMania, Triple H won at Night of Champions last year. They had a draw this past summer, and last week Triple H defeated John Cena. So he actually had a match coming. But WWE did one better than that. They were going to have John Cena against Shawn Michaels and Triple H, with the adding in of Shawn Michaels, which at least in paper theoretically looks like a handicap match, but it's not going to be that. I think we might have a fallout pretty soon between Shawn Michaels and Triple H, sort of a DX imploding, not before Christmas, because I believe this is somewhat why they put DX together, as a way to sell merchandise and a way to build up simply a big stash of merchandise for the Christmas and the Generation X, and they will sell loads and loads and loads of merch. But somewhere right after that, I think we'll see DX imploding and possibly a match. Now the rumors are out that Shawn Michaels might continue to wrestle for another 2 to 3 years with a very light schedule. But if he's about to take a break after WrestleMania again, he's been in then for over half a year wrestling continuously, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels is a very legitimate match, and therefore we might see a fallout of sorts between Triple H and Shawn Michaels pretty soon. So that's pretty interesting. I can see why WWE really can put a new guy into the top so quickly. They are, however, looking to build people up. Swagger with his "I will not lose for the rest of the year" gimmick. You have Legacy on the steady rise, and Kofi Kingston finally took the step up. He had a heated argument with Cody last night. He was attacked by Randy Orton early on in the match as a revenge from Orton's perspective that Kofi Kingston put his hands in the Iron Man match, chasing Legacy out of it at Bragging Rights. So he attacked Kofi. Kofi retaliated by ruining and destroying the car that Legacy gave to Orton as a gift, completely beating the car with a crowbar and putting paint all over the car. And Kofi Kingston looked pretty solid as a main wrestler, being about to be elevated to the top. So that is very, very interesting, and hopefully we can see a Team Kingston versus Team Orton along with Legacy at Survivor Series in a classic Survivor Series elimination match, and then have their final fallout at TLC in December. That seems rational to me, and pretty much I believe that's also why Kofi Kingston dropped his accent, to simply look like a more solid, more serious wrestler, and being pushed to the top, he's going to be in for a lot of more exposure, and then people are going to find out, hey, he's from Ghana, West Africa anyway, so the WWE better be doing that themselves before the WWE fans find that out. So, as I said, a pretty good Raw episode. The special guest host this night, they did good. They weren't very much charismatic. They weren't very much in possession of psychology in the ring, but they didn't give a major role in that way, and fans were kinda growing tired of them just for the small and short brief segments that they had. They arrived in this SmackDown and Raw cars, like I don't know if I mentioned that they're gonna use in an upcoming race in November, I believe. So yeah, that's pretty much it about them. They had a little argument in between, perhaps to build something up, but it didn't really catch on that much. Next week, however, we're going to have Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne, and that will be very interesting to see, because that's a dynamic couple, if anyone. They are used to standing on the stage, they are used to have their own TV series, reality series, and it's going to be interesting to see in what state of mind Ozzy Osbourne will be in. However, conclusion of Raw tonight, a lot of new feuds, a lot of young talent is now being pushed. We have Swagger, The Miz in a feud, you have Kofi Kingston being elevated against Randy Orton and Legacy. Very, very interesting, very interesting. You have perhaps sometimes the rise of MVP. They won a match against Legacy, a pretty easy victory, I think it was, but that might be due for them actually somewhere soon climbing the ranks in the WWE. So it's a lot of people and a lot of talent on the rise right now, a lot of young talent. So this is exactly what we want, and I understand why WWE really just can push a young talent against like Jack Swagger against Cena. That's Survivor Series already, but I think John Cena versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels will be a very interesting match, especially interesting to see how the Generation X will handle this. So thank you for watching and have a nice day.